very excited to bring to you Lena George's new Lenormand book called The Essential Lenormand. Community has been waiting for this book for 2 years. So finally it's here, absolutely gorgeous. What looks like antlers here is actually the middle of a key. You'll find inside each of the chapters there's a key here, and so we've got the key to the Lenormand here, everything you need to know. Really wonderful book. There have been some recent books that are out so far. This is the big kahuna. There have been some nice blogs put out about this book, very satisfying reviews. I find that sometimes what she has in here is she categorizes each of the cards into different compartments and makes it a little hard to understand when describing it through a blog. So I figured a video review would really help you understand what the setup of the book is like and how organized this is. This is so very well done. So you can see I got all these little tabs, things I really want to show you, and let's take a little walk through it. So first of all, we get to the contents. It just makes it very easy to find things. She does everything from what is the Lenormand and its symbols, the benefits of reading this type of system, and then she talks about how the book is organized. Now if you want to find your deck, a new deck, she helps guide you to your first one, make sure you're getting the right type of cards and how to answer and how to ask questions. So she goes through a lot here. She actually goes through all of the 36 cards very in depth. If you're not sure of the numbers of the cards, so you don't know where to find it in the book, you just go right to this table of contents and it'll say, you know, you want clouds, you go right to this page right here and you're all set up and ready to go. So here is where she talks about approaching the Lenormand cards, or the Lenormand, and talking about how to get started with your first deck. So if you're a beginner and you're not sure how to set up a question, if you're not sure how to really stick with the system yet, she talks to you about all this. What is a significator or a focus card? All of it is here. So if you're brand new to Lenormand, you don't need to feel like this is going to start over your head. She starts at the beginning. In the book, she shows a picture of her actual deck. She had it for many, many years. You can see it's very well worn. There is an amazing story that goes to how she got this deck of cards and how she inherited it. So you'll really enjoy that. Lots of rich history there. So when she does each of the cards, and I thought it appropriate to talk about the book card, since this is her book, I want to show you how it's set up because she does this for each of the cards. So she talks about the playing card association that you'll find on the card, what's on the card in terms of the image, and then she talks about the basic meanings, hidden mysteries and secrecy, learning, knowledge, facts, all the types of things you'll find in the meaning of the book. Hidden and secretive aspects of the occult, esoteric teachings, just like this book. The book can be very literal. It can be a physical object like a book or a journal, that sort of thing. Now here's another thing she does. You'll see there's a couple pages on this. She will take, for example, all these different categories you'll find for each card. So if it's in the future, these are some of the things it may mean. Study or education, examining or probing, hitting the books, a project, a book, a manuscript, and she talks about if you get this to describe the man or woman card, these are physical descriptions or types of personality traits for such a person. So the physical descriptions are down at the bottom, personality traits are at the top. Could be quiet, shy, educated, intellectual, brainy. So there are different ways to use each of the cards. When you're talking about work, she gets into what it might be, like a librarian. It could be bookstores, book binding. It could be undercover work because of secrecy. If it's about love, she talks about what it could be, a secret relationship or a secret admirer, a mysterious liaison. If it's about health in the body, she talks about what it could mean, like examinations and testings and a concealed ailment. If it's about spirituality, she talks about what it could mean, seeking knowledge, esoteric knowledge, listening to the intuition because of the secrecy. If it's about money, she talks about what it could be. So studying investments, scholarships, balancing the checkbook, that sort of thing. When it comes to timing, each of the cards, she mentions the timing. So she says here it could be the 26th of the month. They're unknown and unknowable because of that secrecy. If it's advice, if you're asked to give advice, she adds that. Talks about whether it's positive, negative, or neutral. And she talks about this one being influenced more by the cards around it. So it's more a neutral card. and objects and areas, the types of things it might be, a filing cabinet, libraries, deck of cards, that sort of thing. Every single card also has a story that talks about how that card comes to life in the real world. She also will show you in a combination. So here you see it with the bouquet, but she also talks about other combinations. So book and fox, book and ring, ring and book. She switches it around, book and coffin, book and sun. And not only does she do that for the cards, but different cards. For example, here's the mice. She'll show mice and stars, mice and bear, and mice and ring. Same sort of thing with images, but she reverses them too. Ring and mice, mice and ring, adds mice and fox. So it really gives you a chance to practice experiencing the cards in different setups. She'll also give line readings in many of them. So she'll tell a story about the cards or a reading she might have done. And she'll show the actual card spread and walk you through what it means and how she came to understand what it meant. Very, very exciting to actually experience those readings. Then she talks about different card spreads. So if you really want to put the cards into action, she shows you how to put them into spreads. So she gives a little rundown of each of the spreads she's going to talk about just to introduce you, but then each spread gets a nice description on how to use it. So she has, for example, the line spread. She starts here and she goes into more about how to do this line type spread. She talks about the box spread, which is the 9-card spread, a very popular spread in Lenormand. And she talks about how to break that down over several pages, gives you examples. She has decision spreads and lots more. Another thing she adds is the astrological spread. So she ties it together into the houses of the astrological wheel. And she actually gives examples of how that can explore the self. There's a pyramid spread. Very popular cross spread. And if you know these smaller spreads, you'll be able to then incorporate them into something much bigger, which is, and she gets into this, the grand tableau. So she dissects it piece by piece. What do the top cards mean? What do the bottom cards mean? What is the timing of a grand tableau? So she talks about the houses in the grand tableau, how to read with the houses, how to do knighting, how to do crowning. The images show that you can really highlight and see which card she's talking about, and you can see which house it's on. For example, this is talking about the dog card number 18 that is on card 33, the key. More on relationships of cards when they're found within the grand tableau. If you're confused about the steps, the many steps in the grand tableau, she's arranged it for you. The steps in reading it, boom, 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 right down the line. Help guide you step by step. Then she starts to show how cards, spreads that you've already learned, are embedded within it. So you can see how she builds on this. And then in the back she also has some appendices, which are really nice little sidebars to read. So she talks about who was Mademoiselle Lenormand, a chronology of her life, very interesting to read. In Appendix B, she talks about focus cards or significator cards. So if you use the different cards as significators, how can they be used? It's a little bit different when they're used as significators. So she'll guide you through that. Also, if all this stuff on each card is just overwhelmed for you and too much, that's okay, because she's arranged for you in Appendix C, the quick and dirty, just a few words for each card to get you started. So if you need some semantics to apply to the cards for the reading, because it is kind of a more reading words than it is like reading images, that'll help get you there. She also divides which cards are positive, which cards are negative, which cards are neutral. It's all arranged for you, so if you're asking yes and no questions, it's all there for you. Now if the cards are in houses, this talks about what each of the houses means. So if it lands on, say, the clouds, this is what it will indicate for that particular card. The court cards are discussed as well. In the Lenormand, we have card insets or card inserts, depending on who you're talking to. And they show the playing cards, and some have court cards, which can indicate people in the readings. So she talks about what each of these court cards mean, how it describes the person. So she's got nice graphs for each one. And then she does my favorite thing of all. It's kind of like the grand finale of the whole book. She takes the Celtic cross and plugs in the Lenormand into it. Shows you how you can apply it to different card spreads that you might have familiarity with. She even mixes it up with tarot, and she goes step by step through it so you can live that spread and experience it, which was wildly exciting. I really loved reading that mixing of the oracles, but she stays true to each oracle. She doesn't blend them together other than comparing their relationships within that card spread. But Anna mentions something that I also believe. She says, I believe Lenormand and tarot complement each other synergistically. They are like a pot and its cover. Putting the two together, it gives you all aspects of what's happening in a person's life. They both read differently, and she respects that, keeps them separate, and yet puts them together in such a way that so you can take advantage of what each system does to bring you closer to what that person wants to know. There's a glossary, so if you are working with Lenormand and you don't know what an activated card is, or if you don't know what the chain of houses means, everything is there. She's got a great glossary for you in the back, and of course acknowledgments. So this is a really thorough book. One other thing she does I didn't mention in depth, which I would love to have a chart on this someday. I don't know if you ever do a continuation of this book, because people are saying they love this book so much they want more, is she does talk about distance readings, near and far. So if certain cards land in a certain way, left or right, top or bottom, if they are near or far, for example, the clouds card, which is number 6, what happens if the clouds ends up on one side or the other side, near or far? What are the indications of that? So she will talk about that in many of these cards where that is a significant way of reading. So you'll be able to actually use the distance method as well. The book, including the glossary but not the acknowledgments, is 382 pages. You will be well guided with this fantastic information here. This is top-notch writing. You're going to feel like you're talking to a friend. When she gives you story experiences, you're going to come to know what her life was like, but you'll also get to experience the life living in each of those cards. This is very well written. It doesn't feel academic and dry. It doesn't feel cold. This feels warm, like a friend who's sitting at the table with you, teaching you very gently while allowing you to kind of incorporate these cards into your own life experience without feeling dogmatic, without feeling condescending in any way. It's a very loving book, and she pushes you along with a very positive vibe of what the cards can do, how they can change your life, and all the different nuances of each of the cards and how it becomes a true life experience. I'm very excited about this book. I can't wait for you to read it. This is very clear, very easy to understand. If you want the simple stuff, you can go to the glossary in the back. If you want all the details, you can go right to each of the cards and you can say, I wonder how this would fit into my reading. And then really get lots of details, lots and lots of details. There's a lifetime of learning here. She has the experience. She's been doing this since she was about 11 years old. And you will be well guided here from the expert. Thanks, Rana, for putting together all this information for the world. This is it. This is a great starter book for anybody that wants. And for those who are intermediate to advanced, you are also going to be satisfied with the information with all the reading in the back and the additional meanings that you'll find here through a lifetime experience of reading. Highly recommended. The Essential Lenormand.